of being a hanging judge, a judge who goes out of his way to find people guilty, a judge who goes out of his way to impose heavy sentences on people. That's Dennis Galiatsitis. Feel free to sue me for libel or defamation or slander, whatever you want. Judge Dennis Galiatsitis. As far as I'm concerned, you're a menace to the Charter rights and freedoms. Thank you. Okay. So I just noticed that we went into the second segment of this video. I just wanted to see what the time was, and there was a bit of a hiccup, and we're now into the second segment of a half-hour video. So yeah, let's, you know what, let's not talk about Dennis Galiatsitis. Let's not talk about Roland Matt. I think I've said plenty about how Montreal Unitarians, the SPVM, Quebec Crown prosecutors, Quebec court judges have trampled all over my charter rights and freedoms, my right to engage in peaceful public protest, my right to engage in the democratic process, excuse me, little maybe Freudian slip there. Part of the conditions that were imposed on me as a result of Sue Montgomery's false accusation of criminal harassment, and I believe it was her primary reason for bringing that false charge against me, although I knew she would try to shut down my protest if she was elected as mayor of Côte-des-Neiges-Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. I expected her to do it behind the scenes. I expected her to lobby the SPVM. I expected her to send emails, make phone calls to the SPVM, pressuring the SPVM to arrest me on some trumped up criminal charge, or maybe bury me in tickets to shut down my protest. And that's why I blew the whistle on her before she was even finalized as Projet Montreal's star candidate for Côte-des-Neiges-Notre-Dame-de-Grâce borough back in 2017. I told Valerie Plante and Projet Montreal and everyone else who was at the June 2017 City Council meeting that there was serious problems with Sue Montgomery. She was directly involved in efforts to shut down my protest here, that she had in the past involved herself in what I consider to be abuse and misuses of the SPVM police force and the criminal justice system to shut down this protest. And I warned them, you know, you should, you know what, I didn't say you have to believe me. I didn't expect them to believe me just because I said so. I asked them to investigate my allegations about Sue Montgomery. Like, come on, investigate what I'm saying, see if it's true or not. They refused. Val Plante refused. Projet Montreal refused to even investigate what I was saying about Sue Montgomery. And they got a gigantic shit show that has lasted 4 years. Could last another 4 years if Sue Montgomery gets reelected, which is not impossible. I don't expect Sue Montgomery to get reelected because she's basically probably one of the worst mayors Côte-des-Neiges-Notre-Dame-de-Grâce has ever had. And not just in terms of what she did with me. She's actually been accused, oh, I even forgot to mention, Sue Montgomery has been accused of harassment by several Côte-des-Neiges-Notre-Dame-de-Grâce employees. She's been accused of workplace harassment by several employees. At least 2 minimum Côte-des-Neiges-Notre-Dame-de-Grâce employees. Actually, now that I think about it, I think it's more like 3 have quit working with Sue Montgomery because she's just impossible to work with, you know, and they value their mental health over their salaries and so on. So anyway, again, we're on a bit of a, you know, monologue here, and sometimes I do lose my train of thought a little bit, which is the case right now, which is not surprising since there's a hell of a lot to say about all kinds of issues. But today we're concentrating on Remembrance Day, Canadian soldiers fighting and dying in wars for our democratic rights and freedoms. That Sue Montgomery quite literally tramples on, as do other Montreal Unitarians, as do top-level Unitarian Universalist Association leadership. I was falsely accused of violating Canada's blasphemy law back in 2012, and Unitarian Universalist Association clergy abuse cover-up legal bullying that sought to hide such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape from the public by intimidating me into deleting blog posts that told the truth about pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers and First Parish Norwell parishioner Richard Buell. So, yeah, bringing it back to the Unitarian Universalist religion and the Unitarian Church of Montreal, right now they're having a service. Right now it's about remembering soldiers who fought and died in wars, defending democracy, defending freedom of speech, defending freedom of expression, defending the right to engage in the political process. Oh yeah, I just came back to my line of thought there. Yet, they have gone out of their way to try to suppress my freedom of speech, to try to suppress this peaceful public protest, to keep me out of city council meetings. That's where my train of thought was going, and then it got a bit left off. So yes, Sue Montgomery, I believe her number one motivation for bringing criminal harassment charges was because she was desperate to keep me out of city council meetings, because I was coming to city council meetings and asking questions about her involvement in Unitarian Universalist clergy abuse cover-up in the Nile, especially what I consider to be abusive misuses of the SPVM police force and the criminal justice system to shut down my protest. So what did she do? She misused the SPVM police force and the criminal justice system to shut down my protest again by falsely accusing me of criminal harassment. Again, I think the reason that she went that route, rather than behind the scenes lobbying of the SPVM as I expected she would do, is because she was, couldn't handle being asked tough questions at city council meetings. Especially didn't want city councilors to start maybe believing what I was saying about her and realizing that Valerie Plante had recruited a Unitarian Universalist child sex abuse cover-up enabler as her not only mayor for Côte-des-Neiges Notre-Dame-de-Grâce borough, but who she appointed as her first deputy mayor. I mean, in spite of being warned, at least, Valerie Plante was warned during the June 2017 City Council meeting. Everyone in that whole meeting heard what I had to say about Sue Montgomery. Pretty well everyone buried their heads in the sand. The opposition could have jumped on that, they didn't. Lionel Perez could have jumped on that. Marvin Rotran could have jumped on that, they didn't. They basically were just as willfully ignorant as Project Montreal and Valerie Plante and everyone else. So anyway, she kept me out of city council meetings. I mean, that's an important right. I was a regular at Montreal City Council meetings asking tough questions about the SPVM and its repression of peaceful public protest, not just mine. The SPVM are probably only too happy to see me kept out of city council meetings where I was asking questions about their past and, quite frankly, ongoing repression of peaceful public protest in Montreal, repression of activists and so on, which is still happening, still going on. Same goes for Crown prosecutors. They're still trying to suppress this protest here. Right now, at this point in time, I have no criminal record, I have no court conditions on me, but they're trying to get a retrial for my acquittal of the criminal harassment charges. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if they try to bring other criminal charges against me to shut me up. I'm just going to check the time again. Also check to see if the camera's overheating and the battery's working. Okay, we're still okay, but we've only got a few minutes left. 4 minutes of recording time left. So I'm going to wrap this up. Only got about 4 minutes of time left. I think I've said plenty. I've said it repeatedly now. That's sort of my habit because I'm having multiple segments of video, and I want each one of them to contain pertinent information. So I do repeat myself. And that's it. It's November 7th. It's the last day of municipal elections in Montreal. It remains to be determined if Montreal Unitarian child sex abuse cover-up enabler Sue Montgomery will be re-elected as the mayor of Côte-des-Neiges de Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. I should mention that she eventually did get kicked out of Project Montreal by Valerie Plante, and that Valerie Plante even went on public record accusing Sue Montgomery of fabricating stories, creating alternative facts, and even playing the victim. Now, It's open to some debate if she was referring to Sue Montgomery playing the victim by falsely accusing me of criminal harassment. It's open to question whether she meant Sue Montgomery fabricated stories and created alternative facts towards the end of having me, accused of criminal harassment. But guess what? It applies, regardless of whether or not Valerie Plante was at least partly referring to that, because she had other reasons to accuse Sue Montgomery of fabricating stories, creating alternative facts, playing the victim. But all of those things, every single one of them, are very applicable in terms of the trumped up, false, bogus criminal harassment charges and breach of conditions charges that Sue Montgomery persuaded the SPVM to arrest me on and the Crown to prosecute me on, and one Quebec court judge to find me guilty of in terms of the breach of conditions charge. Even though Sue Montgomery wasn't even in the Montreal City Council chambers when I asked Valerie Plante a question about Sue Montgomery coming here on March 18th of 2018, trying to get me arrested for breach of conditions and kicking and throwing my picket signs into the streets. These picket signs right here, which protest against her religious community falsely accusing me of blasphemous libel for blogging about Unitarian Universalists, pedophiles, and rapists, were first kicked into the street here by Sue Montgomery, and when I put them back up, she threw them into the street. That's what I call hands-on participation in Unitarian Universalist cover-up and denial of child sex abuse committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers. She literally took my picket signs, literally threw them in the street. She had them in her hands, threw them in the street like that. That's hands-on participation in clergy abuse, cover-up and denial. That's hands-on participation. Oh, look who's here. That's hands-on participation, literal hands-on participation in the cover-up and denial of not just pedophilia and rape committed by Unitarian Universalist ministers, but the fact, repeat fact, that the Unitarian Universalist Association hired a Canadian lawyer to falsely accuse me of violating Canada's blasphemy law and illegal bullying that sought to cover